he'd consider it cheating if I kissed a man, but he wouldn't consider it cheating if I kissed a woman, which shows that he doesn't take it seriously. Like, why aren't they a threat? I could just as easily run away with a girl as I could with a guy. Like, there's no difference to me. I really loved my boyfriend when I was with him. I really, really did. I really loved him. Anyone who knows me will tell you that. I never worried that I was a lesbian because I've fallen in love with at least 2 men, and and I enjoyed the sex, and I had good relationships, especially with my first love. I really, really did, and that will never go away for me. I am attracted to men. I still am. On the telly, I'll fancy a man and I'll fancy a woman, so it's just always going to be like that. If I was single and I was lonely and I wanted a relationship and I thought, I really want to settle down with someone, I wouldn't think I'm going to go after a guy or go after a girl. I'd think, I just want to meet someone. As long as they treated me nicely and made me feel special, I wouldn't care. I think it's really hard for bisexuals because there is the illusion of choice. Because obviously, being in a gay relationship isn't as easy as being in a straight relationship. You don't have those heteronormative privileges. It's not about choice, because if you fall in love with someone, and then someone took them away from you and said, well, it's okay, you could go out with someone else and it'll be easier, that doesn't matter. So there isn't a choice. Because I'm in love with Rose, even though I'm bisexual, I could be with a man or a woman, I want to only be with Rose. I strongly believe that you can't help who you fall in love with. Like, it's not as easy as just being like, I'll pick this person. That's not what happens in relationships. So if that's what you think, I don't know why you're having the easiest time, but it's not like that. You can't just pick like that. The first time I remember really, coming out to someone was when my boyfriend and I split up, and I asked Rose out on a date, and I had to tell my best friend Anna, who you all know from our Super Kiss video, Expecto Patronum! And she knew I was bisexual, and I've kissed Anna before, and I've kissed girls in front of her before, and I've told her they're so hot, and she's told me she thinks Rihanna's hot, and we've talked about it, and she's been completely cool with it. But I remember being really, really nervous about telling her I'm going on a date with Rose. And I remember she came around my house, and I said, so, I'm going on a date next week? And she said, oh yeah, who with? And I was like, with a girl? And she just went, yeah? Who? And obviously now Anna's really, really good friends with Rose, so that's really good too. The next tricky part was telling my mum, because, like I said, I hadn't spoken about anything to do with that since I was 15. So as far as my mum was concerned, I had a lot of long-term boyfriends, and then that's all she knew. She never knew anything about me liking women. All she knew was when I was 15, I told her what I told her, and I don't even think she can remember it, because I don't think it was a big deal to her. And I said, oh, I've been talking to this girl. And my mum was like, all right. And I was like, yeah, her name's Rose. She's a lesbian. And my mum was like, all right. I was like, yeah. We're going on a date. And she was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah. We're going to the cinema to watch Paranormal Activity. And she was just like, oh yeah, cool. And then a couple of dates in, obviously I spoke to my mum about seeing Rose. I introduced Rose to my mum very briefly. I popped around my mum's house, I think maybe to borrow a sat-nav or to pick something up, and Rose was with me. I just said, Mum, Rose, Mum, and Mum gave her a hug, and that was cool. 2 months in, maybe more, about 3 months in, about 3 months in, I said to my mum, I rang her up and said, Mum, I've got a girlfriend. And she said, yeah, I know. And I was like, no, me and Rose were actually going out, we're girlfriends. And she was like, yeah, I know, everybody knows. And I was like, oh, nobody really gave me shit for it. So I know, I'm really lucky and really blessed, and people might watch this and be like, wow, this isn't helpful because, I've had such struggles and you haven't. But all I can do is share my story. With bisexuality, you get the stupidest fucking questions. Who is better in bed, a man or a woman? Who do you prefer living with or being with, a man or a woman? Which do you like more? Which porn turns you on the most? Loads of people think bisexuality is a phase. That is my life. I'll always be attracted to men and women. I can't help it. I was literally born that way. I got with this guy once, ages ago, and I said to him, I'm bisexual. I like men and women. And he's like, okay, cool. And then I bumped into him the other day when I was in a club. You know, he knew I was with Rose. And he was like, oh, so I hear you just completely back for the other team now. I hear you're a complete lesbian. And I was like, no, still bi. What makes you think that? And he was like, you're with a woman. And I was like, yeah. And I told you I was bi. I told you I like men and women and I'm with a woman. Why am I suddenly a lesbian? I just want to be in a monogamous relationship. I only want to be with one person, but I'm bisexual. I can't be with a man and a woman. Like, I'm not polyamorous, so I'm not going to be with a man and a woman at the same time. When I'm in a relationship, I'm only going to be one of those people. Doesn't make me straight, doesn't make me gay, still bi. Sexuality hasn't changed. It's unintelligent. Like, it's not using your brain. I've told you I like men and women. I'm with one of them in a monogamous relationship. Why are you calling me straight or gay? Why can't I stay bi? It seems as if you're only bi if you're single. That doesn't make sense. You can't only be one sexuality when you're single and another sexuality in a relationship. Fuck you. Bisexuals aren't as accepted in the LGBT community, and I'm not saying that everyone doesn't accept them, because there are people who accept us, but we're not completely accepted. We're not. Bisexuals aren't completely accepted, and that's hard. Some people can't get past the sex, and that's upsetting, and it's also narrow-minded. And it's also what homophobic people feel. They can't get past the sex. Oh, gay sex, you're a pervert. Oh, I'm homophobic. Well, it's like, that's what LGBT do to me, I think. I think they're like, well, you've had sex with a man, you like men, you're going to run off with a man. Because all you're focusing on is, you don't like that sex. Fine, you're not part of my community. Well, that's what homophobic people do. I don't like the sex. Don't get married, I don't like it. I don't like the sex. Well, I can't fucking help it. Oh, Rosie's with a woman, but she's going to end up with a man. And it's not lesbians that say this, it's everyone. Like, literally, men or women, straight or gay, people say, I'm going to end up with a man. But in Proud to Love, I said, you know, I didn't ever think I'd end up with a woman. Not because I was straight, but because I just didn't realise at my young age, hadn't had any examples of it. You know, I didn't watch Ellen, it's an American show, I didn't ever watch it. I didn't see it happening in practice. Now I've seen it, I realise it can happen. I thought I'd have to be with a man. To have kids, I'll have to be with a man. To get married, I'll have to be with a man. I didn't realise, you know, because you couldn't get gay married then. And I wasn't exposed to, you know, lesbians having kids. Now I'm older, I watch the L Word, you know. I've watched couples on YouTube who have their own kid, and I see lesbians with adopted kids, and it's on Modern Family, the gay man have a kid. You know, I'm more exposed to it, and I realised that it could be a thing. And people wrote really nasty comments on the Proud to Love video, and they wrote, my biological clock would tick and I'd want a baby and I would run away with a man. People say, I miss the sex with a man, I'll run off with a man. People say that I will definitely cheat on Rose with a man. And it's just so cruel. It's so nasty of people to say. People see snippets of our lives in videos and they have no idea about anything to do with our personal life, really. We let on as much as we want to let on. Why is it me who cheats and not Rose? So because Rose is a lesbian and I'm bisexual, I'm more likely to cheat? Why is that? There's no reason. There's no law. There's no rule. No one's done any tests like, yes, bisexuals are definitely more likely to cheat. No. Cheating depends on whether you're going to cheat or not. It completely depends on the person. It depends on circumstance. It depends on whether you're happy in the relationship. Like, no. And even if I was to cheat, I'm bisexual. Why do you think I would cheat with a man? Because I'm bisexual, people assume I would cheat on Rose, I will break her heart, and I will run off with a man, and then she will be unhappy and feel, oh, well, I couldn't give her what a man could have given her. Bollocks! If you have an orgasm with a man and have an orgasm with a woman, there's no difference. So a man did it or a woman did it. There's no difference. I could have an orgasm on my own. There's no difference. So yeah, that was my coming out story. I don't know what to say. That was my coming out story. It was harder than I thought. Trying to think of some advice to sign off with.
Okay.
Any advice? When you go to the beach and you get your bikini bottoms wet, change it to some dry bikini bottoms as soon as possible, because it's really bad for you to sit in wet underwear.
Also, I get sand in my vagina a lot.
Really a lot. We don't even live near any sand.
I know, but there's always sand there.
We haven't been to a beach for like 2 years.
I don't want to talk about it.